Hello and welcome to St Michael's Hill. Thanks for joining me today on the November layout update. This is going to be a video that's going to be focused mainly on the new layout. There has been a bit of work that's gone on there and a bit more planning and things like that, but as well as that there's been some stock kind of updates. So I've been working on a model that has been given some detailing, so I'll talk to you a little bit about that. And also I've picked up a couple of new items of rolling stock in the last month that I will talk to you about briefly. Just before we kick on with kind of the main part of the update, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to all the new subscribers that have joined the channel. It seems like literally yesterday that I was announcing hitting 1,000, and now my count is very quickly approaching 1,200. So a massive thank you to everyone who's new, and again, massive thank you to all the older subscribers as well who've been around a long time. It really does mean a lot that you guys are interested in what I'm doing. Firstly though, I want to talk a little bit about probably the hottest topic in the model railway world in the last kind of couple of weeks, and that is copper and the regulations surrounding that have been kind of brought in by the FTC in America. There's been a lot of kind of fairly strong reactions from people, people deleting their channels, people deleting videos from their channels. Now, my view, and it's only a view of someone who's looked into it, I'm not a lawyer, a solicitor or anyone like this. My view is I'm not going to do anything at all until the very earliest, the last week of December. I think there's a lot more information that's going to come out. I think when the news first broke, it seemed like it was going to be the end of model railways on YouTube and a lot of other content on YouTube. However, I think already there's been lots of kind of amendments and people looking more and more into the issues, and statements from YouTube and the FTC which seem to suggest that actually it won't be such a big problem after all. So until the end of January, or sorry, the end of December, I will be taking no action whatsoever on the channel, and come that week I'll see what's what and make a decision. My general feeling is that what I make on this channel is not content that's made for kids. This is backed up by all sorts of data, analytics, the topics we talk about, and looking into kind of what the FTC and YouTube say. I just don't feel that my channel really is making content for kids, and there's a difference between, I think, suitability and actually making content for children. I like to think that most of my content is suitable for kids, but it's certainly not made for them. But like I said, I'll make a decision towards the end of December about any action that needs to be taken, but for now videos will continue as normal, and I'm trying not to get too carried away by it, to be honest. For the first time in quite a while, I actually acquired some new stock this month. It was a pair of these silver bullet wagons from Dapol. They are going to be used on the new layout to kind of make up part of a China clay train. It's going to be kind of one of the versions that's mixed in with a fair few other wagons, so some TTAs, some VDAs and things like that. They will be weathered fairly heavily at some point. Right now it's very shiny. It's kind of almost difficult to see how shiny they are in kind of on camera, but in reality it's basically a mirrored finish. They're very nice wagons. I'm not going to do a full review because I think I've got a couple of other things coming up that are going to be reviews and things like that, so I will keep it fairly brief with these, but it's a very impressive wagon overall. I think the things I like most about it are the couplings are fixed to the chassis rather than the bogie, so they kind of go around the corners quite nicely and quite realistically. I think more and more wagons seem to be kind of taking that approach. I think at the moment they're kind of coupled quite far apart with the tension lock, so I'll probably be looking to add some short KDs to bring those wagons a lot closer together. You can see from kind of the buffer beams that you think they'd probably be touching in real life, so certainly something that needs to be done. Bringing you in a lot closer, you can see a lot of the detail. One thing I really like is the handrails around the kind of top platform. Very fine detail. Kind of makes the ladders and the actual frame a little bit disappointing in comparison. I think if these were done today by kind of one of the newer manufacturers, Cavalex or Acura scale, those pieces up here would kind of be all kind of etched out of metal, and certainly would probably look a lot finer. These certainly are a little bit chunky, which is almost exacerbated by the very fine wire used for the handrails. But other than that, great wagons, and I hope to get them as part of a kind of fairly short China clay train, as I said. So very, very nice additions to the layout. I mentioned earlier in the video about a piece of rolling stock that I was kind of giving some detailing to. And it's this Lima Class 31. It's very much kind of a work in progress at the moment. There's lots still to do. But I, like many others, have taken kind of a lot of inspiration from John Batley and the photos that he's been putting up of his Lima Class 31s, and they're absolutely stunning. So I spoke a little bit with him, and also I've been looking at his kind of how-to guides, and basically I've managed to start to put together something very similar. So I will bring a video of kind of how I've done this, but there's kind of various things that I've been doing. There are already some elements that I've done which I'll end up changing. The handrails on the cabs here, I'm not too happy with how they are, and part of that is because I use brass wire that needs to be painted, and partly just to do with the way that it was shaped. So I've got some other wire that I'm going to use to kind of remove those and redo them, but generally kind of fairly happy. The detailing is starting to go on down the bottom here. I've again got some jumper cables and things like that from Class 31 spares. I've added sprung buffers, high intensity head beam for this particular locomotive, had them. Added some kind of wire on the front. Again, the yellow is not quite the right colour, but I'm hoping that once things are weathered it won't be so noticeable. I've added the little kind of nodules on the nose there and replaced the glazing with flush glazing, so fairly happy with how it's going. I've got a couple of bits to build up a cab interior, so I'm going to insert a driver into the loco. The other thing I'm kind of looking at doing is this bogie is one of the ones off the new super detailed Hornby models. It includes a NEM coupling. Now the bogie itself doesn't fit quite right. It's not quite the same as the motor bogie before. It's slightly too low, so I'm just going to maybe need to modify that slightly. Hopefully it will allow me to kind of run with that bogie, or with the bogie frame on it, to include that coupling, and it then will be kind of modern. Alternatively, I will be adding some sort of NEM pocket to the old bogie, but I'll see. Hopefully I can kind of work out something that allows me to kind of have this stronger version of the NEM pocket that I will be able to insert a KD into or something like that. But it's an interesting project that I'm kind of really enjoying doing. It's some new skills, certainly the wire work. Like I said, not massively happy with those door handles, but certainly the front pieces I'm a lot happier with. So yeah, all in all, I'll bring you probably a longer video on this at some point, but that's something that I've been working on this month. I'll bring you a longer video on this project at some point, but I just wanted to kind of show you what was going on. But yeah, that very much leads me on to kind of planning for the new layout, which is something that I've been doing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about updated plans, signal planning, and also work that I've done to the garage, which is obviously where the new layout's going to be. So on with that. A fair bit this month has been additional planning for the layout. The second video from the new layout series was a look at the track plan, and I asked a question around the station and had a lot of feedback. It was about 50-50 actually, about whether people thought I should have a station or shouldn't. I've decided that I will have a station for a few reasons. One, and primarily this is the main reason, that it just offers a bit more kind of interest operationally. I'm going to be obviously computer controlling the layout, and having a station just allows me to kind of program a few more things, from interesting moves and stopping and all that sort of thing. The other, which is a kind of secondary reason, is that the depot is going to be on the left-hand side and is going to be the real focal point of the layout on that side. The town is going to be the focal point of the right-hand side, and a bit of a station sticking out is not going to take too much away from that, and is going to look hopefully fairly good. So that's something that I've decided to go with. I sat down with Steve Smith from Railway Laser Lines of an evening, and we basically came up with this idea of basing it, at least track plan wise, on Water Autumn.
or at least an idea around that, where a platform comes down from the road, so this will be below road level, and then the tracks go either side. Now, Wateraughton has a junction just after the station where two lines go north and two lines go east, and effectively the middle track here becomes a bi-directional line. So that's what I'm going to be doing on the layout, having the middle line as a bi-directional line where these two lines will effectively make up the branch and freight line, so you have the stopping services, and then these two lines will make up the main line section. This section of bi-directional line won't in reality be very long, but it should allow for some interesting runnings. This line will also have an element of bi-directional running to allow locomotives to enter the depot. So both these lines have elements of bi-directional running, and this line will be a single direction running. Hopefully this allows me to kind of get some kind of nice rules around the layout and give you some kind of very interesting operation. The layout of the depot has been changed slightly. I've added a few more sidings, and this is going to allow me to have a little bit more storage whilst keeping things fairly prototypical. This spur here is going to be for a shunter, so it's going to allow basically trains to kind of come in and then be either shunted in or out by the shunter that doesn't then need to go all the way onto the main line to kind of get out of the way. So that's what I'm thinking around for this area. Loco storage is going to be down here and up here. This line here will be used for kind of loading fuel tanks and things like that. So you'll see kind of a loco maybe, or even a shunter come in here with some TTAs, leave them here, they'll be unloaded, and then fuel will be transferred through pipes to the fuel point where locos will be able to enter the depot, be refueled before having a service or whatever. So that's the kind of plan as I'm working at it now. Obviously, until this is on the kind of baseboards and is actually kind of laid out with track, it's very difficult to know exactly what I feel about it, but this is certainly what I'm going for. One thing, as I am having it computer controlled, there's certainly an element of wanting to get the signalling right, as obviously as a computer controlled layout it can in theory look like it's being driven by signals, so I wanted them to be correct. I reached out to Simon Paley, who has recently published a book, but the title of which is Colour Light Signalling for Model Railways. It's a really, really good book, lots of kind of information in there. I'll put a link in the description below. Do check it out. I think with Christmas coming up, it will be a really nice gift. So, yeah, have a look. But I reached out to him, and we had a little bit of a discussion about the layout, and basically he has drawn me up a little signalling diagram. So I'm going to show you that now. So here's the plan that Simon came up with. As you can see, it shows not only the layout, which is kind of indicated by these blue lines, but also a little bit beyond in terms of giving it context. And as you can see, it really shows here how the bi-directional line works. The signals that are going to be on the layout, we're going to have 4 different main signals on the main lines, and then there'll be 2 ground positioning signals in the depot. The rest of the depot would be, run by basically the shunter's permission, all hand operated signals. There would be hand operating points, and there would be no signals around those. But it kind of gives me a really kind of clear plan on what to do. Simon's also very helpfully kind of pointed out where AWS ramps would go, which are these triangle sections, and shows also if they're bi-directional or not. I also spoke to him about speed restrictions and obviously whether signalling had a big impact on those, and he said that yes, they did, and he was able to give me some kind of indications on what speed restrictions would be in this layout. And this was based a lot of the work that he's been doing on the West Coast Main Line in Wales, so very similar. So the main line would be probably either 100 or 90 miles an hour, and the branch line probably around 70. So it's given me kind of that information. Just wanted to give a massive thank you to him for doing this. He really didn't need to, but it was wonderful that he, put this together for me, and hopefully it's going to allow me to have a lot more realistic running on the layout. Again, check out his book. I really, really enjoy it. I've kind of had a quick flick through and I put it away for Christmas, but yeah, it would make a wonderful Christmas present, and like I said, link in the description below. Check it out. Now that I've kind of shown you the new plans, I'm going to show you the garage and the work that I've actually done on the new layout.
Another big thing that I've been doing this month, which has taken a fair bit of time, is kind of sorting out the garage by using some kind of IKEA units that I plan to have under the new layout. I've been able to kind of give the old layout a bit of a place to live. Also, it's provided a bit more storage for kind of some stock and that sort of stuff. Stock storage is something that I'm really looking into at the moment. There's definitely an argument to say that keeping things in their original boxes is a bit of a pain. It causes problems, and in terms of getting things in and out of boxes tends to be when things get damaged and all that sort of thing. Now, I don't think that what is here is necessarily a perfect solution. Whilst each item is obviously clear of any kind of boxes, it's not exactly the most space efficient way of doing things. So I am looking into that, and I might bring a video out on kind of storage and all that sort of stuff at a later date. But for now, it definitely kind of pays to have a little bit of kind of storage under here. The end unit, the dark brown one, needs to still be sorted out. There's stuff on it that isn't kind of railway related, and once that's done, that will kind of give me a bit more storage. The plan with the new layout is that obviously these will go underneath those boards. I'm probably thinking of having the height a little higher than the fiddle yard is there, so maybe just below the sockets there will probably be where the new layout is, so it should allow enough room above the units and be able to kind of get under there and kind of do wiring and things like that. The new layout will obviously mean that this layout has to go somewhere else. I'm looking at various options for that, one of which might actually be on the other side of the garage underneath the layout that will be built, so it'll still be kind of available. I don't think I will kind of be looking to do anything else with it, certainly not looking to kind of sell it or anything. Personally, I don't think it's really something that would be worth selling, and also I would probably need to do a little bit of work to kind of finish off lots of it, and by that point probably any money I would have made I'd need to invest in it, so it certainly won't be going anywhere. It'll probably just live under the new layout and will be able to be used as a test bed for anything, and also I'll be able to kind of keep it and occasionally film with it. It's a few days later now, and I've managed to clear out a lot more of the garage, so it's the first time I've really been able to lay out a lot of the boards. I've left these two kind of on their ends, but just to check the widths. But it starts to give you a good impression on how everything's going to look. Obviously the boards that are alongside here will be along this edge, so I've kind of left them off for now, but I think everything's going to look fairly nice. The small boards are going to be in the corner and will go across the top of the desk there, so all in all, pretty excited about this going together. The next job will be to kind of add legs. Probably each board won't have legs. I'll probably have a leg every other board, kind of built up, so should give me enough support. Everything will be bolted together and I'll be going from there. I'll probably end up putting the two sides on first, and then I'll put the middle slots in afterwards, so should give me kind of enough room. This shelving unit here will probably need to be modified a little bit to allow me to kind of have fiddle yard. I might keep the higher shelves, but the lower ones will kind of be removed or moved slightly. And then, yeah, like I said earlier in the video, this layout will probably end up going under these boards on this side here. And I'll keep the units with stock on at the moment, but that might well end up being different things underneath there. So that's the other kind of big lot of work I've been doing this month. That's pretty much it for me today on the November update. Hoping to get quite a lot of work done during December. Got a bit more time off around Christmas, and hopefully it'll leave me some time to kind of make some real progress with the baseboards for the new layout. Get those legs installed and get some of the bench work looking actually like it might actually take a railway rather than being something that's just on the floor. So until then, I will see you again probably next week for another video. I've got something quite interesting planned for that. And until then, I will leave you with some running shots. Thanks very much, and see you soon. Bye bye.